This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, plus special features and reports with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
Spoiled sports. Good afternoon. Welcome aboard. A gambling scandal has rocked the NBA. Portland Trail Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups and others have been arrested and charged with federal crimes. ESPN's Chris Canty.
We can't dismiss the addiction aspect to gambling. Professional athletes are not immune to that disease.
Billups is accused of having ties to an illegal poker ring connected to the mob. He's among 6 people accused of using inside information to make wages on professional basketball games. The Trump administration's applying new pressure on Vladimir Putin to end the years-long war in Ukraine. The White House has slapped new sanctions on Russia's 2 largest oil companies. Correspondent Keir Simmons has more from Moscow.
The Russian government calling these sanctions counterproductive and saying Russia is strongly immune to sanctions. But it does appear to signify a significant shift in President Trump's approach to President Putin.
The sanctions are intended to dry up funding for Russia's war machine. The move comes just a day after President Trump canceled face-to-face talks with Putin in Hungary. Another drug boat was blown out of the water by the U.S. military overnight off the coast of Colombia, where 90% of the cocaine in this country comes from. That brings to 37 the total number of suspected narco-terrorists killed in international waters. President Trump at the White House yesterday.
Every one of those boats that gets knocked out is saving 25,000 American lives, not to mention the torn up families all over the country.
The commander-in-chief says narco-terrorists are poisoning Americans with the drugs that are coming into this country. This latest strike happened on the Pacific side of Latin America. All the others were on the Atlantic side. Democrats on Capitol Hill demanding answers into the covert military operation.
Why exactly are we using lethal force in an unprecedented way? There has been insufficient transparency and explanation. We don't even know exactly who is being hit.
Officials in the Dominican Republic say they did recover cocaine from one of the boats that was destroyed in an airstrike. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says drug traffickers are the Al-Qaeda of the Western Hemisphere. The Trump administration's expanding its crackdown on illegal immigration. It's planning to send Border Patrol agents to San Francisco. Mayor Daniel Lurie's blasting the federal law enforcement effort.
These tactics are designed to incite backlash, chaos, and violence, which are then used as an excuse to deploy military personnel.
Border czar Tom Homan.
70% of everybody ICE arrests is a criminal. Who are the other 30%? National security threats and fugitives.
He says ICE trackers that protesters use to learn the whereabouts of immigration raids are actually endangering the lives of ICE agents.
It's a matter of time before an ICE agent's ambushed and killed. The last thing we want to do is give a bad guy, the worst of the worst, a heads up that ICE is down the street.
Attacks on ICE officers have risen by more than 1,000% the past year. A 21-year-old illegal immigrant from India who crossed the southern border 3 years ago. That man's accused of causing a fiery crash in California that killed 3. The truck driver was released into this country during the Biden administration. Back in August, another migrant truck driver who could not speak or read English made an illegal U-turn in Florida, killing a family of 3. The gloves came off in last night's mayoral debate in New York City. It was the final debate before the November 4th election. Sparks flew when independent candidate Andrew Cuomo questioned the qualifications of the frontrunner, Zohran Mamdani.
You have never had a job. You've never accomplished anything.
It is always a pleasure to hear Andrew Cuomo create his own facts at every debate stage.
Zohran,
Your resume could fit on a cocktail napkin.
That's Republican challenger Curtis Sliwa, who also took part in the verbal fisticuffs. The trio duked it out for about 90 minutes at LaGuardia Community College in Queens. Polls show Mamdani with about a 20-point lead right now. The entire east wing of the White House is being torn down this weekend. It's to make room for a brand new ballroom that will nearly double the size of the president's residence.
The First Lady's office has already been demolished. A family theater and a gift shop will also be flattened. The National Trust for Historic Preservation wrote that the addition will overwhelm the White House itself and urged officials to pause the demolition until the plans have been reviewed by the National Capital Planning Commission.
Correspondent Weijia Jiang, the president says the project's being paid for by private donations. It is the most ambitious overhaul of the White House in nearly a century. A diverse group from all over the world have joined forces to say enough already when it comes to the expansion of artificial intelligence.
The group includes Prince Harry and Meghan, Richard Branson, Steve Bannon, and Glenn Beck, who say AI superintelligence threatens humanity. The group of more than 700 public figures say it should be banned. Their joint letter urging a prohibition on developing superintelligence until safety and public consensus are assured.
Matt Piper reporting that Thanksgiving Day turkey may gobble up more of your finances this year. Frozen turkey is expected to cost about 40% more than last year. The USDA says the turkey supply is down due to weaker demand, and avian flu outbreaks are also responsible for the hike in turkey costs. On the Health Watch today, there's a new study out about some popular weight loss drugs.
In the largest trial yet of drugs like Wegovy and Ozempic, heart attacks and stroke in people overweight were cut by a whopping 20%, regardless of how much weight they lost. As lead author John Deanfield sees it,
these drugs are not just weight loss drugs. They are drugs that will change many illnesses.
So what's happening in the body? The drug is thought to be reducing inflammation in blood vessels, improving blood pressure and cholesterol.
These drugs help liver disease, kidney disease, cardiovascular disease, but they may also help even cognitive decline.
That's Brad Gibson reporting from Washington. Still to come on the Noon Report, Operation Safe Stop, New York paving projects, and Wegmans wants you to check out hunger.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Williams. Our November-like weather pattern will continue. We'll have lake effect rain showers, breaks of sun, and a bit of a chilly breeze. Forecast details are up in 10.
All right, Kevin, we'll look for you then. The Pennsylvania state budget is now 115 days overdue, with little progress to report from Harrisburg. The Democrat-led House and the Republican-led Senate are about $3 billion apart on a spending package. Dennis Owens with ABC 27.
Where exactly are we on the budget?
You know, it's a great question. I think I'm not sure where we're at, quite frankly.
Well, the deal with the budget is we have a good old-fashioned disagreement about how much we can afford to spend.
Late state budgets seem to be par for the course in the Commonwealth. The past 20 years, the state has passed 13 late budgets, including 4 that went over 100 days past the due date. The latest ever was in 2016. That was a record-setting 9 months late. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro will release his autobiography in January. The book touches on everything from his political rise to power to the trauma of his home being set on fire. It's entitled Where We Keep the Light, Stories from a Life of Service. The 52-year-old Shapiro's become a prominent national figure since he was elected governor in 2022. Many see him as a credible candidate for president in 2028. More than $800 million is going to over 180 different paving projects all over New York next year. Governor Hochul calls it the largest paving investment ever in the Empire State.
There's a classic Irish saying, may the road rise to meet you, right? Okay, well, we're actually going to go out there and meet the roads, and we're going to build more roads. And make sure that our roads are the very best in the nation.
That paving project encompasses over 2,100 miles of highway. One of the largest asphalt improvement efforts will involve the resurfacing of Interstate 81 in Broome County. A driver was killed in a two-vehicle crash this week involving a deer in Genesee County, New York. A northbound SUV hit the deer on State Route 19 in Pavilion. The animal then crashed through the windshield of an oncoming pickup truck, which veered off the road and into a ditch. The truck driver, 80-year-old Michael Vaccaro of Rochester, pronounced at the scene. The occupants in the SUV were unharmed. Pennsylvania police are putting the brakes on unsafe driving around school buses. Here's Family Life's Brian Query.
PennDOT and local police forces have launched Operation Safe Stop to remind drivers of the rules when buses are picking up or dropping off students. Drivers must stop at least 10 feet away when a bus's red lights are flashing and the stop arm is out in all directions of an intersection. Upper Allen Township Police in central Pennsylvania say they get several complaints each month about drivers ignoring those signals. Officers are now following buses on their routes and using onboard cameras to catch violators. Fines can reach hundreds of dollars and offenders risk losing their license. Brian Query, Family Life News.
Thank you, Brian. An estimated 50,000 motorists illegally pass stop school buses every day in New York. Dr. Liz Kruger is superintendent of the West Seneca School District.
I would just ask you to imagine that your child is on that school bus, and how would you want the motorists around the school bus to behave?
If you get caught illegally passing a stop school bus in New York, the fine is stiff. A first offense will cost you anywhere from $250 to $400. New York's Attorney General Tish James urging residents to submit videos of ICE raids. She set up an online form where people can register ICE activity. Last month, ICE agents raided a factory in central New York looking for undocumented migrant workers. There is a great debate in the Empire State right now over the role local police should play in assisting these federal immigration crackdowns. The government shutdown is jeopardizing food assistance programs, including Meals on Wheels, which benefits elderly shut-ins. Feline Nancarvis runs Meals on Wheels in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
There are thousands of Lancastrians impacted, and that puts a huge crimp in food security. It's a big deal, and our seniors deserve better. Meals on Wheels Lancaster's asking for community support with its Feed Your Elders program, so they don't have to stop offering assistance to shut-in seniors. The 32nd annual Checkout Hunger campaign is underway at Wegmans grocery stores. Customers can help raise money to feed the poor in this 3-decade-old partnership between Wegmans and the Food Bank of the Southern Tier. Checkout Hunger runs through November 29th at all Wegmans stores in Elmira, Corning, Hornell, Ithaca, and Johnson City. A bankrupt marine park north of Buffalo is looking for a new home for its animals. More on that story from Family Life's Dee Haley.
A once popular tourist attraction, Marineland in Niagara Falls, Canada, is looking for safe homes for its marine animals. In 2019, Canada passed a law prohibiting the possession of marine mammals for performance. As a result, Marineland has gone bankrupt and is running out of money to feed and care for its 30 remaining beluga whales. Charles Vernick, CEO of the Whale Sanctuary Project, says his team hopes to assist the whales and other animals from the park. Multiple governments and organizations are involved in the effort. Vernick said that the sanctuary plans to begin on-site construction immediately. The mayor of Niagara Falls expressed hope that a solution could restore the site as an economic driver for the region. Dee Haley, Family Life News.
All right, thank you, Dee. Let's check sports next. It's the 2-minute drill on the Family Life Noon Report.
Good afternoon, I'm Randy Snavely. Bob, we begin on the ice in Buffalo as the Sabres got a goal and 2 assists from Jack Quinn, and he led Buffalo to a 4-2 victory over the Detroit Red Wings. Tyler Kozak, Jason Zucker, and Josh Doan also scored for the home team, and newly acquired Colton Ellis stopped 27 shots in his NHL debut. The Devils skated past the Wild 4-1. The Canadiens edged Calgary in overtime 2-1 in the only other two games on the docket. The NBA regular season got underway last night. In New York, the Knicks did not disappoint. They knocked off the Cavs 119-111. And the guys you would expect them to lead the way did. OG Anunoby scored 24 points and hauled down 14 boards. Jalen Brunson had 23 points. Karl Anthony Towns had a double-double. Tyrese Maxey poured in 40 points, and rookie VJ Edgecombe added 34 in his first NBA game. And the 76ers surprised the Celtics in Boston 117-116. In Charlotte, the Hornets cruised to an easy win over Brooklyn 136-117. Brandon Miller led all scorers. He had 25. Elsewhere on the hardwood, your winners: the Magic, Raptors, Bulls, Grizzlies, Bucks, Jazz, Suns, T-Wolves, and Spurs. Victor Wembanyama, impressive for San Antonio. He scored 40 points and grabbed 15 rebounds as they dominated Dallas 125-92. And, of course, Thursday Night Football happens. Tonight they're in Los Angeles. The Vikings are taking on the Chargers. That is a look at sports.
All right, thank you, Randy. Still to come on the Noon Report. This just in. NBA gambling bust. We'll have the latest. Extreme Makeover White House edition. And the King and the Pope at the Vatican.
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. From the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet. According to Ryan Anderson, president of the Ethics and Public Policy Center, quote, the Trump administration's IVF policy unveiled on Thursday is perhaps the least bad that we could have hoped for, but least bad is still bad, end quote. With his long-awaited or dreaded follow-up to his earlier executive order, the president announced a plan to dramatically reduce the cost of in vitro fertilization, provide insurance coverage for fertility treatments, including in vitro fertilization, and increase access to it. According to the president, quote, you can't get more pro-life than this. But IVF is not pro-life. Despite what was said during the president's press conference on Thursday, IVF is not even pro-fertility. Yes, born children do result from IVF, but the way it's overwhelmingly and almost universally practiced means that far more lives are lost in the process than survive. As Students for Life President Kristen Hawkins posted on X in response to the announcement, quote, the IVF industry kills more preborn babies than the abortion industry, doesn't cure infertility, and practices eugenics, end quote. The embryos that are produced by IVF are subjected to screening prior to implantation, which checks for everything from the desired sex of the embryo to potential genetic and health conditions. Any embryo that's deemed not viable is destroyed. Now, advocates of IVF can call this widely accepted and practiced step in the process whatever they want. The best word for it is eugenics. After the screening process, the viable embryos are then prioritized for implantation. If pregnancy is achieved, the remaining embryos are considered to be excess, a population that numbers in the millions and exceeds the number of embryos that are born. Most of these are stored and frozen, literally suspended in time. Many are just destroyed. Some are donated to medical research. A small number of these little image bearers might be given up for adoption, something known as snowflake adoption. And the ethical problems with IVF do not end there. Legally, embryos created through IVF are considered property and therefore without rights. They're frequently fought over in custody battles. Even more significant is the dramatic lack of oversight and regulation of the industry. During IVF, embryos are thoroughly screened, but the adults involved are not. So virtually anyone can choose to participate in creating more embryonic image bearers for any reason. Now, many, of course, operate from the good God-given desire to have children, but some are more nefarious. As Ryan Anderson summarized in an article at First Things, quote, the bulk of the Trump IVF policy entails two main features: lowering the prices on IVF and other fertility treatments by lowering the cost of key drugs through most favored nation pricing, and creating a new optional employer fertility insurance benefit. In other words, the goal is to make IVF cheaper and more accessible. But making IVF cheaper and more accessible while expanding insurance coverage for the practice only will increase the number of children that are discarded or frozen or orphaned from their mother or father. IVF in America is not, in fact, about fertility. It's an industry, a radically underregulated selling of goods and services, and in the vast majority of cases, what's being sold as goods and services are people. The good intentions of some who participate cannot change what this underregulated, unethical, and dehumanizing industry has truly become. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet with Breakpoint.
All right, thank you, John. Let's head outside next. Kevin Williams.
Here is your Family Life weather forecast. The call basically for today through tomorrow. Lake effect rain showers aplenty east of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario in the favored belts. However, outside of lake effect areas, just variable clouds. Sunny breaks during the day, starry breaks at night, and a couple of scattered showers. Highs in the low 50s both days, lows tonight 30s and low 40s. For Saturday, clouds, some sun, chance for showers, still a chill, low 50s. It looks mostly sunny on Sunday, crisp and cool.
Okie doke, crisp and cool. Okay with me. Thank you, Kevin. This is the Noon Report. I'm Bob Price. Great to have you with us today. Big story happening Thursday, October 23rd in the National Basketball Association. A gambling scandal has rocked that professional sport. 6 coaches and players implicated, including Portland Trailblazers coach Chauncey Billups.
This is jarring on its face, to say the least. Chauncey Billups just coached a game last night.
That's crazy.
For the Blazers against the Timberwolves.
Chris Canty on today's edition of Unsportsmanlike on ESPN. FBI Director Kash Patel says the accused used insider information to make wages on games. The U.S. is imposing new sanctions on Russia. The goal here is to dry up funding for Moscow's war machine in Ukraine. The sanctions target Russia's 2 largest oil companies. President Trump scrapped plans to meet with Russian ruler Vladimir Putin in Budapest, Hungary.
Every time I speak with Vladimir, I have good conversations, and then they don't go anywhere.
Ukraine's leader says he welcomes the sanctions and hopes other countries will join the U.S. and impose economic penalties on the Putin regime. Federal agents are preparing to hit the streets of another major American city. President Trump has San Francisco in his sights for the next immigration enforcement crackdown. Those troops could arrive in the city by the bay at any time. Border czar Tom Homan says 70% of the migrants arrested have criminal records.
I wake up every morning in disbelief that people want to call the law enforcement officers the bad guys.
He says attacks on ICE agents have increased a whopping 1,000% the past year. The president's residence is in for a major overhaul. It's to make room for a $300 million brand new ballroom. Correspondent Peter Alexander.
The pictures of machinery tearing down the East Wing really have been particularly striking. President Trump, you'll remember, initially said construction of the new ballroom here would not impact the White House himself. But now officials tell us the entire East Wing may be gone as soon as this weekend. Critics say that demolition is really a metaphor for his presidency, taking a wrecking ball to Washington. But the White House is dismissing any criticism as manufactured outrage.
The Trump administration's war on drug boats is expanding beyond the Caribbean. Defense Secretary Hegseth says for the first time, the U.S. military targeted narco-terrorists on the Pacific side of Latin America. Reporter Charlie D'Agata.
The boat taken out off the coast of Colombia, which produces 90% of the cocaine that eventually is sold in the United States.
Nearly 40 suspected drug smugglers have been killed in 9 separate military strikes on narco-terrorists in Latin America. An American Christian missionary has been kidnapped in the West African country of Niger. 50-year-old Kevin Rideout is a missionary pilot with Serving in Mission. That's based out of North Carolina. He was abducted 100 yards from the presidential palace. Security expert Brian Stern.
This is what happens is people get traded, hostages get sold. Doing a kidnapping is, from a motivation perspective, usually it's about money.
Josh Sullivan's a Tennessee pastor who was also kidnapped in Africa this year. He was rescued after 6 days in captivity.
We just need to pray, definitely, for this individual. Christians are being attacked all over the world. Not only is that something we need to pray for, but also something that hopefully will encourage young men to realize we need more missionaries. Even in dangerous places, people need to hear the word of Jesus Christ.
The 50-year-old rideout was taken by 3 armed men near Niger's main airport. Those men were last seen fleeing with that missionary toward the border with Mali. Experts say ISIS has a strong influence in that part of Africa. Conservatives are giving bad reviews to Bad Bunny. The Latino rapper will headline February's Super Bowl halftime show. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell.
I'm not sure we've ever selected an artist where we didn't have some blowback or criticism. Pretty hard to do when you have literally hundreds of millions of people that are watching.
Bad Bunny, one of the most streamed artists around the world right now, has been a vocal critic of President Trump. This is the Noon Report on Family Life.
This is Faith Under Fire. We take you straight to the voices on the front lines of religious battlegrounds. I'm news anchor Sarah Harnish, and with me today, special counsel at the Thomas More Society, attorney Thomas Breath. We're talking religious equality in sports. You already had a win in the court system on parochial schools. Those are faith-based schools in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Those students are now allowed to play sports on public school teams. Then you took it to the PIAA, which is the governing body for the entire state's public school sports system. Can you tell me what happened?
Absolutely, Sarah. The PIAA is conceded and amended their bylaws, and for the first time they are recognizing that students that attend faith-based educational institutions are entitled to participate in their home school district's athletic programs if those programs aren't available at their faith-based school. We couldn't be more excited about it.
Why is this case such a big deal?
Well, I've often wondered throughout my career why there's such a resistance in public education, why they feel that these students have to be shunned and not accepted into even a portion of the public educational system. It's really a systemic discrimination that I think has been going on for generations and generations in our country. In my mind, in the mind of our clients, it was time to bring that to an end. It's unfortunate you have to litigate things. We're always hesitant to start into litigation unless we absolutely need to. And I just think that it's the impact of this case across the Commonwealth is going to be beneficial to so many students and their families. It eliminates the necessity to make the choice between continuing your faith-based education and being excluded from these activities or keeping your faith-based education in place and having an opportunity to pursue these extracurricular activities like every other student.
How can parents get their kids into a program? What are the new rules?
The new rules are they need to make sure that the program isn't offered at their faith-based school. They need to reach out to their home school district, contact their athletic director or their high school principal, or if it's a middle school, the middle school principal. Submit the request to say, we live in the district, we're residents of the school district, but we've chosen to have them enroll in a faith-based school. They do not offer this activity at the school. We would like the right to participate. It's a relatively simple, straightforward process. It would be no different than if a student transferred from another public school district into that public school district and said, I'd like to play girls lacrosse or girls softball or football or basketball. It's really just to give the notification, and the process should take a day or two, and that student should be participating in that program.
These are two huge wins in the state of Pennsylvania. It impacts thousands of kids. First in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and then now any kid that falls under the rules of the PIAA. If you weren't bringing these court cases to light, these kids wouldn't have that opportunity, Thomas.
The credit really goes to the parents and the students that have stepped up and really pushed to say, listen, this is wrong. You're discriminating against us based upon our religious beliefs. The initial clients of mine that came out of the State College area that really said enough is enough. We're willing to put our names on complaints. We're willing to stand up and expose ourselves to criticism, to expose our family to scrutiny, to expose our faith to scrutiny, which was questioned in the litigation. Those are the folks that really deserve the credit. The plaintiffs that joined in and went through that difficult process, they're the ones that I'm so happy for and so proud of.
I feel like there has been a shift in the court system in favor of faith. Christians are winning cases left and right, even at the U.S. Supreme Court. What's going on?
I agree. I think it's even outside the scope of the legal arena. I just think there's renewed confidence in people of faith to talk about their faith, to encourage others to pursue and seek out God. We're seeing that the U.S. Supreme Court, obviously, in recent years has been very positive and has changed much of the archaic case law that the previous Supreme Court cases and state court cases have laid the foundation for this type of discrimination. The current Supreme Court and the Supreme Court in the last 10 years has really set a new standard for protecting the First Amendment rights as they relate to religious expression. So I really do feel that there is a changing point. Roe v. Wade being reversed is obviously the one that so many generations have thought, at least for myself, thought, I can't imagine the day that that's reversed. With that being reversed, I think it's really given a lot of people hope that some of these improper court rulings and rulings that have supported discrimination against those that want to pursue their faith, that they're getting stripped away and religious rights in the United States are being reinstated.
Learn more at thomasmoresociety.org.
All right, thank you, Sarah. Faith Under Fire, the name of the program. It comes your way Thursdays during the Noon Report or online anytime at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and FamilyLife.org.
Good afternoon. Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. We will remain in the grips of low pressure in eastern Canada. That'll keep us in a chilly airflow the rest of the week into the weekend. That chilly airflow will continue to generate lake-effect rain showers east of the lakes and keep our region throughout on the cooler side of normal. The call basically for today through tomorrow, lake-effect rain showers aplenty east of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario in the favored belts. However, outside of lake-effect areas, just variable clouds, sunny breaks during the day, starry breaks at night, and a couple of scattered showers. Highs in the low 50s both days, lows tonight 30s and low 40s. For Saturday, clouds, some sun, chance for showers, still a chill, low 50s. It looks mostly sunny on Sunday, crisp and cool.
All right, Kevin, thank you. And finally at noon today, what a get-together in Rome today. King Charles III met at the Vatican with Pope Leo XIV. Those two men prayed together at the Sistine Chapel.
I think that it's showing a real purposeful outward manifestation of a desire for Christian unity.
As Catholic scholar Ashley McGuire.
There's definitely a Catholic revival going on right now in the UK. The number of young people who self-identify as Catholic just eclipsed those who identify as Anglican.
Today's event at the Vatican featuring the Pope and the King was one for the record books. It marked the first time since the year 1534 that a British monarch and a head of the Roman Catholic Church prayed together publicly. And that's our world, the world we live in. Thursday, October 23rd. I'm Bob Price, Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.